Hello, I'm Lisa Bowerman and I play Bernie Summerfield, and welcome to Audio Heads podcast.
Hello and welcome to Audio Heads. This is Geeks Assembled, and we are gathered today to talk about the John Hurt War Doctor audio called Only the Monstrous. And it's a 3-part story, and it's and I'd like to first of all get first impressions on this from everyone. Everyone go around and introduce yourself and say hello, and then give your first impression on what how Only the Monstrous was. Let's start with Lee. Go ahead.
Oh, don't you have to introduce myself? You've just done it for me there, Susan. Yeah, first impressions. When this was first announced, I thought, because I wasn't so keen when the War Doctor was sort of created for the Day of the Doctor episode. But John Hare, he pulled it out of the bag. His performance, that was brilliant. I got the audio set, and it's bloody marvellous. I mean, he is a doctor. No, I know he keeps saying I'm not the doctor, but if he is, he's the NAB doctor, isn't he? Yeah, I like it. It's a tale of what we have missed off screen, and I enjoyed every minute of this. All 3 parts, and the acting in it is just awesome, especially Jacqueline Pierce as well. You can't beat a bit of Jackie. So that was my first impression. Yeah, it fits really nice into the world of Doctor Who. It's Nick Briggs knows what he's doing. Oh, Big Finish.
Keith Dad.
Soundscapes, brilliant. I just loved this. John Hurt absolutely nails it. Nicholas Briggs doing the Daleks manages to get so much variety into the Daleks. It is just absolutely stunning. It's incredible performance from him. As Lee said, Jacqueline Pierce, what an actress that woman is. I shall never forget her in Blake 7, but by God, she hasn't gone down with the years. She is just absolute 100% stellar. And Lucy Briggs Owen doing basically the Doctor's companion is just superb. She is just absolutely superb. What a lovely name. There wasn't anything in this that I can criticize, and it moves. It moves. In fact, so fast that sometimes you have to really concentrate to keep up with it. But it is just an incredible piece of audio acting on all counts.
Thanks. How about you, Connor?
Yeah, one thing that intrigued me after Day of the Doctor was the Time War, because it was something that had been always referenced. It was pretty much the backbone of New Who, and we've never seen any sort of extent of the atrocities that happened during the Time War. And to have it appear in Day of the Doctor was sort of, I felt, a step forward into a direction where maybe they might start to explore it more. And of course they did with this. You really realise how expansive the war was, reaching Keska. Keska was a great planet. It's, I think it's one of those sorts of planets that you sort of remember from Doctor Who. Compared to others, it's a lot sort of better than Earth in some respects. I think just setting it on Earth, it wouldn't really have any effect, but setting on another planet that's affected by a war that you're so used to hearing about and so familiar with is great, I think. Jacqueline Pierce as the Cardinal, a fine time lady, up there with Michelle Gomez and Linda Bellingham, I think, in that respect. I think great cast, and Rejoice is such a great companion. I would ask, could we see her on screen? But I don't think we ever will, because I don't know where it would fit. I don't think it would ever fit in the timeline, really. But as an audio companion, she is superb.
Okay, Tim, what do you think?
Well, I agree with everybody. It's an amazing piece of work. My concern when this was announced was that this doctor is completely different from all of the other doctors in the sense that he's on a mission. He's not a happy-go-lucky, let's go pick up a girl and go on an adventure kind of thing like all the other doctors can be. He's stuck in this situation that he's been placed in, basically. So that makes his storytelling, I guess, a bit more challenging for the writers to come up with something that's not just an average adventure for the fifth or the sixth or whichever doctor, but something to do with this predicament, this time war business. One of the things I like the most, though, is that they make it clear that the Daleks aren't the only bad guys. Most of the Time Lords are as well. In other words, this was something they hinted at with the McGann minisode, where the girl he meets is terrified that he's a Time Lord because she wants nothing to do with him because they're not good people in this situation. I think they explored that a little bit in this set. But yeah, overall, it's a great set. The acting's great. John Hurt is excellent value for money. I mean, he plays the part so well. And this is something he did as a one-off. I mean, for a TV appearance, and he manages to make it even broader and better than what he brought on television. So I mean, it's an amazing set, this one.
I agree. Question number one: what did you think about Rejoice as a companion? I know that Beef Dad alluded to it, and so did Connor. So what did you think about it, Lee?
I liked it. I mean, you got the sort of younger version of Rejoice in the first part of what was it called, The Innocents, which this story I absolutely loved. This was the slower part of the trilogy, where she was helping him recover from the time bomb or something, whatever it was called. But and they said at the end of it, he leaves her, and I love that sort of thing. She wanted to go with him, but then later on, the older version of Rejoice just worked so well with John Hurt. It was, I liked it. As I say, could have been a TV companion, as Connor said. Worked so well on audio as well, and yeah, it's very good. As I say, well written character, very good.
Tim, what do you think about Rejoice as a companion?
Well, they did something new here. They gave you the opportunity to meet the companion at 2 points in their life, in their timeline, because he meets her when she's younger, befriends her, and then meets her again when she's older after some time has passed for her, not so much for him. He's on an adventure, but I mean, that's something they haven't tried before, I don't think, in any other stories. It works out very well.
Thanks. Okay, so Connor, what did you think about the time lady, Illustra, or Illustra?
As I said, really brilliant performance from Jackie Pierce. It was more like the Inquisitor from Trial of a Time Lord with Linda Bellingham that it really reminded me of. But she's so fierce. I think, as Tim Wells said, the Time Lords aren't all good in this. And that was alluded to in Day of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor, all these sort of lead-up things to the 50th anniversary, and you really explore it here, and I think she's sort of one example. She's sort of the politician that is not straight, she can be sort of corrupt. So I think, to bring a time lady into it as a Cardinal is the main, because we're so used to seeing like Rassilon there, or the General from Day of the Doctor and Hellbent, or someone of a manly sort of you know, a manly sort of persona leading the fight, but to Jackie Pierce to appear in this audio, she is, like, as I said, the Inquisitor. She just completely leads the performance forward, the story forward, and I think she's brilliant as maybe a less than straight Time Lord politician.
Okay, Lee, what did you think about Illustra or Illustra?
Illustra. Can I just say that Jacqueline Pierce is playing Jacqueline Pierce. That is her. If it's Servalan or if it's Illustra, she plays herself, really. But she is a damn good actress. She knows how to play sinister, sexy sinister. And I like the way, as Connor says, she's in the background, being corrupt, sort of thing. And then you find out she's tweaking and pulling all the strings in the background. Yeah, a very, very good performance, and of course she does reoccur in the other box sets as well. So yeah, a good performance from a great actress.
Okay, welcome, Brian. What did you think about? What is your first impressions, and what did you think about Rejoice as a companion and Illustra as a time lady?
Well, I just finished this. I just finished the story, and I honestly, I liked it. I thought it was different, and I think it was, out of all the Big Finish audios I've listened to so far, I think this story probably the best story I've listened to by far. John Hurt as the War Doctor was great. And I just love the I just love
What
this.
about Rejoice?
Rejoice was good. I honestly didn't see. I didn't honestly even see that coming, that she would be a companion within the story.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't guess that the War Doctor would have any really companion during the Time War, because it's the Time War and everything. So I didn't really think they would have anything like any companion during that time.
Okay, what about Illustra as a time lady?
Yes, I think I liked her as a time lady. She was pretty cool.
Okay,
and
so Tim, what did you think about Illustra as a time lady? If you're back, are you back?
Yeah. She was brilliant. Jacqueline Pierce is an amazing actress, and like Beef Dad said, I mean, she hasn't missed a trick. She's still amazing, and she managed to play a part which is not quite good and not quite bad. I mean, she's a politician, so she has to pretty much please both sides or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, she continues in the following sets, and she continues to be a somewhat of an uneasy ally with the Doctor on some occasions, but on other occasions she doesn't treat him very well. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with it. The last set comes out next month, I believe. So.
Okay. Okay. So Beef Dad, what did you think about the little the other Time Lord who was trying to broker something? Could you explain that and go for it?
Ceratrix.
Yes.
Well, Ceratrix was an appeaser. He wasn't there to. He was just trying to appease the Daleks. I found him really annoying. You didn't ask me about what I thought about Jacqueline Pierce doing Cardinal and Lystra.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please do answer that. I didn't. I thought. Okay.
The one thing that Jacqueline Pierce is brilliant at, and that is playing a manipulator. She's always been good at playing manipulators because there's just something intensely convincing about her, but then you find yourself questioning and losing trust, and that she is just so good at doing these parts. She really has always been brilliant at doing these parts. I'd love to see her play Lady Macbeth. But yeah, Ceratrix, Alex Wyndham playing Ceratrix. He was an appeaser. He wasn't convincing as a Time Lord because he really never did anything. He never really did anything. Nothing that he did seemed to affect events. So he was a bit of a, should we just say, he was an extra Time Lord.
Okay, Lee, what did you think of Ceratrix and the broker?
Yeah, I agree with Beef Dad. As the story went along, you get a bit annoyed with him. He was saying he's trying to please the Daleks and all like that, but you found out near the end that it's just a pawn in Illustra's big picture. So yeah, he's sort of a man of character. What can get killed off and pushed aside, and she doesn't care. Who falls in a long game. So yeah, but yeah, it's for a Time Lord he's not a bad Time Lord, but I would say there's better Time Lords out there. But yeah, it was played okay. I mean, if he come across as annoying, maybe that's how they wanted him played. So in that case, that's good acting on the actor's part.
Yeah, Connor.
Yeah, pretty much ditto with everything that's gone before on that. He was rather annoying, but as Lee said, if that's the way he needed to be played, then fair dues to the actor. It's funny because the Daleks always get someone who that is appeasing to them. You know, it's like Ceratrix in this. You've always got that sort of one guy in the story because they're so powerful and they're such a menace, and they can easily kill everyone. That there's always that one person, like the pawn in someone's game or someone's agenda or something. In this case, Illustra. Yeah, it's just a typical sort of middleman, to be honest. It didn't really impress me, but it was. I think maybe he needed to be there. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with him. He was a bit of a background character, possibly too much to really take any great notice to.
Okay, Brian, what do you think of Ceratrix?
Honestly, I honestly didn't mind him. I thought he was an okay character within the story. I mean, some of you guys said that you didn't really like him and that he was annoying, but I honestly didn't really mind his character. He was, I guess the word would be entertaining to listen to and within the story. But I honestly didn't really have any problem with him. I thought he was just playing out there within the story for a character that's like that. So yeah, I didn't mind him.
Thanks. What about you, Tim?
I don't recall the character specifically. It's been a while since I've listened to this, but I do think it's a mistake to even trust any of the Time Lords in any of these stories because they're always out for themselves. It's funny that people always want more Time Lord stories. The truth is, the Time Lords are never good to the Doctor. He ends up being the good guy in the story, and they're always kind of notoriously bad. So I mean, they end up being the lesser of two evils if it's a situation like this. I mean, as far as the Doctor's concerned, and I think that's an interesting spin on what you think you already know about the Time Lords or Gallifrey. I mean, because now in this particular War Doctor series, that's who he has to work with, basically, the Time Lords or the Daleks, or it's all about that event, the Time War. So it'll be interesting to see how they wrap it up.
Yeah.
Really
Okay. Did any of the action or the plot strike you guys as interesting, Lee?
Well, as people may know, I'm not a big fan of the Daleks. But I have gone down saying that on audio, Big Finish know how to write menacing Daleks. Not on TV, they don't come across as menacing anymore, but on audio, Nick Briggs and his gang know how to plot out a good storyline for these, the Doctor's enemies. So I do love the Daleks on audio, and this is a good set for them. Also, I do like you get because they always say that the War Doctor's, but he don't get too close to people, and he wants, he doesn't want to get. He does, because you get the warmer side of him in this with Rejoice, and you do get to sort of know the Doctor as he was, but then he's got the conflict with the war and stuff like that. But I like that sort of part of the audio as well. So it's just a good story, to be honest.
Beef Dad?
I really loved the concept of the null zone. That really was a very clever concept. As an area of space with over 1,000 planets in it, that was to be ruled over by the Daleks. But basically what they were going to do was take out the magnetic cores of all the planets within the null zone, and then use the whole thing as a weapon to destroy Gallifrey. And that was quite an astounding and enormous concept for me. That really caught my imagination. I really loved that. And as Lee said, the Daleks are just extraordinary in this. As I say, with Nicholas Briggs doing them all, and the variety they got into the Daleks in this, with the Dalek Prime and the sort of various officers going down to just the sort of Dalek soldiers. It was just really, really clever. You've never really seen a great deal of the sort of hierarchical structure recently on the television series. You just tend to get a bunch of Daleks all in a bad temper. Whereas in the sort of some of the older stuff, shall we say, you got the Supreme Dalek. You actually got a hierarchy within the Dalek system, which has been rather lost, shall we say, over recent years. And this brought back that hierarchy, and that really triggers your imagination. It certainly triggered mine.
Connor?
The Daleks. One thing that interests me about Nick Briggs is his approach towards the Daleks. I remember Doctor Who Extra for Into the Dalek in Series 8. they were talking to Nick Briggs about writing a Dalek story, and he said it seemed like the most difficult thing in the world. And you can really feel with Big Finish, especially what I've heard about everyone pretty much saying that the Daleks are better written in Big Finish. You feel like there's an awful lot of effort he's put into that, possibly compared to other audios. He really wants to get the Daleks right, and I think he did terribly well in this. But one scene that really struck me in this, aside from the good sort of writing of the Daleks, was the boat scenes with Rejoice and the Doctor. That was one thing that it was really intimate, and it was really when you've got a whole universal war going on around you, it's difficult to really appreciate those sorts of moments. And in this audio, they sort of make a really big deal out of that, and I like it. I just like the intimacy of that particular scene. So yeah, that's one of the standout bits for me. But yeah, the Daleks were so well written in this. It's a shame that the quality cannot be taken over to the main show, but hopefully in time that will happen.
Brian, how about you?
Yes.
Any plot point or incident or anything that you wanted to talk about that was interesting to you? Or
no, I mean, not really. I mean, the one thing that I thought that was pretty cool that was within this story, like well, it was something that that reminded something that I would not just remembered because Connor just said something that just reminded me about it. It was like where they mentioned like the something that happened like with the whole creation of Daleks, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I thought that was like a whole brought back to like the creation of the Daleks. I just thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah. Tim?
Well, I think the problem with the Daleks is they've pretty much been done to death, and it's hard to come up with new and interesting ways to make them interesting again. And especially if you're an old school fan like most of us are, they do get a bit tiresome on television because it's pretty much going to be the same thing, and they use them every year, which I don't know why they do that. With Big Finish, you have so much variety that they don't really get overused because you have so many different Doctor threads going on with different Doctors, so that they don't really get to be overused. You get maybe one or two Dalek stories a year. The War Doctor sets, of course, are going to center around them as the main villain, so they do have to come up with new and more interesting ways to use them, which I think they have in this set. I think like a couple of you mentioned, the Nick Briggs knows his Daleks. That's his thing. That's one of his favorite things is the Daleks, and of course he gets a lot of work out of that. So it's there's a subtle improvement, I guess, in the way they're written. But I think it's just one thing I did like too that Beef Dad brought up was their plot, and this one is basically a rehash of their plot from the invasion of Earth way back in the day, just multiplied. So I mean, they're doing the same kind of thing. They want to use the planet as an engine or something. So yeah, it's a very good set. I think it's a shame that we're not going to get any more of them. I think had Hertz not sadly passed this last week, then he probably would have continued to do these for a few years. But that's the breaks.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to answer all of that. I really liked Illustra, and I liked the two other Time Lords that she sent out to capture the Doctor. I thought that they were kind of fun and energetic Time Lords. As far as Time Lords go, much more energetic and bouncy than the ones who had been who you saw in the Five Doctors or in the Trial of the Time Lord or any of those other ones. even more bouncy than the ones in Hellbent and Heaven Sent and stuff. I was just like, yeah, that kind of quality was amazing to hear on audio, and I loved I love the Daleks trying to be broker of peace with an enemy that can't be ever brokered a peace with. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that I just kept going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they're even, thinking that's not even possible. It was pretty intense, and the things that I liked about the story was that the War Doctor really was there was a lot of lessons in there, a lot of moral lessons for all the characters to learn from him. I mean, he wasn't just empowering the companion like the 10th, 11th, and 12th Doctors really have super powerful companions that are like Rory doesn't die and Jack doesn't die, and Rose became such an important, Rose and Donna and Martha became such important, powerful people, and Mickey became a hero, and all these things, these sort of empowerments were based on his ability. I think that the War Doctor doesn't empower his companion. He has lessons to learn and to teach because war is nothing if not a teacher. And it was intense. The war scenes in this were really gruesome. I mean, there was a lot of death toll. The 1,000 planets, as you guys have mentioned, oh my gosh, 1,000 planets worth of death. I mean, that's gruesome. So it was really wonderful to watch. The warrior win for the little guys, the people on the planets who had no recourse. I mean, Rejoice was a gentle, kind soul, not turned into a weapon, just a gentle, kind soul who ended up in the drudgery, and wonderful, wonderful story with her. Great arc. I'm stoked. And I'd like to throw open the floor to everybody who wants to speak now, because I'd like to hear what else you guys have to say about Only the Monstrous.
On the subject of the War Doctor, as you were mentioning, empowerment of his companions, I feel with him, he's the least empowered Doctor. Because in Day of the Doctor, he relies on his name to be seen as any sort of a threat. His physical presence is not really a threat compared to someone like, say, a Tom Baker or a John Pertwee or a Peter Capaldi. So he really has to rely on more of his name than anything. He is really down on his luck in every aspect. As time goes on, you feel like he gets even more wearier and tireder, and he starts off really quite tired, to be honest. He's
tried everything. He's tried everything, and now he's just going to use the ultimate doomsday device to kill both sides. And this is not what he wants to do. So yeah, but I would not say he's less powerful than any of the other Doctors. In fact, he's a bit more no nonsense, which is why he's a bit distracted with his two future selves that are that kind of childish. I mean, he has no time for that. He's a very serious Doctor.
Yeah, but also you've got the feeling that this Doctor is nearing the end of this life anyway, so it's a bit weary. It's tired in that way. So
But the whole point of the story was that he has to make this terrible decision, which his future self somehow talk him out of, it all happens because the device he's using has a conscience, which ends up talking him out of it, sort of. So it's a clever story, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't say he was a less powerful doctor. I would agree with you to the extent that he's nearing the end, but he's done all that he can do, and he realizes there's no way to end this thing properly. So he relies on his future selves to help him do that, which is cool.
Anything else?
It's as it's been mentioned before, we've got to be thankful that John Hurt recorded these 4 box sets, and it's, as Tim said, it's a shame that we'll no longer get any more. We have to be thankful to Stephen Moffat for creating the character of the War Doctor. I mean, a lot of people poo-pooed the idea when the Day of the Doctor came out, but John Hurt proved them wrong. So, brilliant actor. And as it's gone down, he has said in the past that this part was one of his favourites he's ever done.
Yeah,
and he, I think, is really ended up being quite thrilled, not knowing what a huge Doctor Who family there was, because I don't think this was a guy that was ever a watcher of the show. I think he's just an actor, a very great actor, and he got off of this part and said, sure, I can be that. But he didn't know he was going to be the Doctor for life. I mean, which is what happens when you take on this part. Or anybody that joins the show, they join this huge Doctor Who family. And he was pleased, I think, to be part of that. I mean, he started doing conventions and stuff because you know, that's part of the game. Also, I mean, all of his other movies he's done that people go to conventions for, but you get my point.
yeah.
Is that really awkward event after the 50th aired where he was asked about his Doctor Who memories and he could barely remember Tom Baker and just remembered him as like a partner in Soho?
Yeah. Of course you.
Yeah, last year at Gallifrey 1, he was like one of the best guests that they had, and so this year we'll miss him. I'm going to Gallifrey 1 in 2 weeks, and we'll be and it's going to be great. But you know, John Hurt was great at Gallifrey 1.
I just wonder if they had any other scripts planned for the War Doctor. If now that he's passed, maybe they might have to pass those scripts on to McGann for the Time War storylines.
It's hard to say. I had heard that they weren't planning anymore after the 4, at least immediately. They planned these 4 out 2 years ago, so there's probably an arc to all 4 of them. But and then he unexpectedly passed. So I mean, now we know that this is all we get for that. You're right, though. I mean, because it remains to be seen how they're going to do the 8th Doctor with any kind of War Doctor kind of stories, because you get the impression from his minisode that he was pretty much avoiding the whole thing and just putting it on the back burner. Like, I'm still going to go have fun with my friends, and they can just sort it out themselves, until he gets pushed into it by the sisterhood. You know, like, no, somebody needs to take care of this nonsense, and it's got to be you, that kind of thing. So then he becomes this guy. It's sad, though, that we don't get more stories with the War Doctor, because he had a long life as that character. When you first see him in that minisode, he looks a bit young because they use an old photo, and then we know how we see him in the episode, and we know how he looks today. So I mean, he had a long life in this business, and it's a shame that we're not going to get much more of that, unless, you know, there's a lot of people that write books and stuff. So.
Yes, John Hurt, we will miss you.
Yeah, we'll miss you, John Hurt. You guys want to say anything to fans or people about John Hurt as a man?
As a man, he was a British legend and a brilliant actor. I don't think there's any better testament to him than that, to be honest. A great man and a great actor, if not legendary.
Very legendary, I would say.
Beef Dad?
Yeah, and he came across as every...
Go ahead, Lee. Sorry.
Never say it came across in every role he played that he just put his heart and soul into it, and he came across on the screen that he enjoyed what he was doing. You can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best character actors ever, I would say.
Oh yeah, but I remember him doing Caligula, Quentin Crisp in The Naked Civil Servant, The Elephant Man. He seemed to do all the unusual parts.
He's very brave, unafraid to take on an unexpected part. Yeah,
Absolutely, and he was, and every single one of them turned out to be brilliant. Basically, every single one of them he won awards for.
Yeah.
I know he won awards for The Elephant Man, for The Naked Civil Servant. I think he won an award for I, Claudius, playing Caligula in I, Claudius. I mean, yeah, the man was just an incredible actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I did speak to Quentin Crisp while he was still alive, before he went to America, and he said that John Hurt's portrayal of him was just the most extraordinary thing he'd ever seen. At times he looked at the screen watching John Hurt playing him. I thought, that's me. And, you know, at times he sort of thought, he said at one point there was one scene they did. John Hurt did it so well that Quentin Crisp thought, how did they have television cameras in there at that point? And he thought John Hurt was a genius.
Wow. Rest in peace, John Hurt. Thanks everybody for joining me on Audio Heads. Please like and subscribe, and do leave comments below about the War Doctor, about Time Lords and Time Ladies, and about our dear departed John Hurt. And next week, or in a fortnight, we'll do another wonderful audio adventure. Please come with us, and thanks.